Hi everyone, BritSimon here. I want to talk to you about children and how they should be handled on the DV lottery. Okay, so let me show you first of all the form because perhaps you're confused about how to create the form with the number of children you have. So let me show you how the form looks for the DV entry, right? This is the section on the form where you enter the number of children. And you have to calculate that number of children correctly, and it's important that you read this statement underneath here as well. It says children include all biological children, legally adopted children, and stepchildren who are unmarried and under the age of 21 on the date that you submit your entry. Okay, so that's pretty clear. And then it goes on to say you must include all eligible children, even if they do not live with you, or if they do not intend to apply for a diversity visa as your derivative. Very important, right? Even if they're not living with you, you need to include them. Failure to list all of the eligible children is grounds for disqualification. It's not just grounds for disqualification, it means 100% certain disqualification. If your child is a US citizen or lawful permanent resident, do not list him or her in your entry, okay? It doesn't with a child that is a US citizen or LPR, you can actually include them and you won't be penalized for it, but generally speaking it's better to not include them. Okay, so let's just focus on a couple of those points that are made there. Firstly, it says all biological children. I'm sure we all know what that means. It's where you have created a child from your own biology, shall we say. All right, so that's biological children, right? Quite simple. Legally adopted children, what does that mean? Well, you have to have been through a legal adoption process 2 years earlier, okay? And you have to have paperwork to prove that you've been through that legal adoption process, and it must be finalized. Many, many times, every single year, I have people that try and include children on their application who are actually not their children. They're usually, the nieces or nephews of siblings, or the children of my sibling, for example. Don't include those children unless you have legally adopted those children. Maybe that child lives with you. Maybe your brother or sister sadly passed away, and that child has been growing up in your house for the last 10 years, fine. But unless you've gone through a legal adoption process, you cannot include that child in your process. And so you actually have to ask yourself, do you want to go through this process knowing that you're not going to be able to take that child? Or you just go and legally adopt that child, wait 2 years, and then enter the lottery, okay? So that's legal adoption. And how about stepchildren? What's that about? Stepchildren is children acquired through marriage. So let's say I, as a man, have 2 children of my own from a previous relationship. Whether I was married or not in that previous relationship doesn't make any difference. I still have 2 biological children of my own. And I'm about to marry a woman who has 3 children of her own. Again, makes no difference whether she was married to the fathers of those kids or not. She has 3 biological children, right? In that scenario, we have a combined total of 5 kids, and both I and my spouse would therefore be required to add all 5 of those children, okay? If I'm marrying a spouse who has stepchildren acquired through another marriage to somebody else, so let's say that woman I was about to marry, I have two kids, she has 3 kids of her own, and she has another child that she had as a stepchild from a previous relationship. That stepchild, even though she's divorced, is still a stepchild of hers and therefore needs to be included in the application. A bit complicated, that one, but that's another one that you have to be careful of, right? So, biological children, legally adopted with papers, and stepchildren should all be included as long as they're under 21 and unmarried at the time of the entry, okay? If you've got a child that is going to go through 21, going to pass 21, a week after the application, well, maybe you can just delay your entry so that you don't even have to include that child on your entry. Okay, that's one way to do it. But if the child is under 21 and unmarried on the exact day of your entry, then you should be including the entry. Now, for each of the children that you number in the form, you're going to be asked to provide a photo and all of their details. And that can sometimes be a burden, right? Maybe one of those kids that you want to include is off at school somewhere, and maybe it's very difficult for you to get a photo of them because you're not planning to speak to them for the next 3 or 4 weeks until term time comes to an end. Well, I'm sorry, there's no way around that. There's literally no way around that. You have to have a photo for the form in order to be able to submit the form, okay? For each of the children that you include on the application. There's no way around that. There's no excuses that can be accepted. There is no negotiating on this point. You must include all of the children who are eligible to be included, and you must have photos for all those children, and the photos have to meet the photo requirements, right? Be a normal passport style photo. Okay. All right. So I'm hoping that's clear, and I really hope this is clear, because every single year I have to deal with the questions from people about, and I feel desperately sad for these people because they've been selected in the lottery, and for whatever reason they didn't include a child, and they are going to be disqualified. They are going to be disqualified. There's no doubt about that. And so I have to tell them, look, you're better off to not continue your case. Because if you do continue your case, you're going to turn up for the interview and you're going to be disqualified, but you'll have lost all the money. As well as losing the opportunity, you'll have paid the medical fees, you'll have paid the interview fees, and all of that will be instantly lost. So don't do it. Just stop where you are. Every single year I have to have conversations with people like that, where they didn't know the rules, they didn't listen to the rules, they didn't read the instructions, whatever the reason, and they sometimes think they can get around it and negotiate. There is no negotiating on this stuff. It's a certainty. All right, everybody, that's probably about it for the children subject. Please subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, but also make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can get further updates as time goes on. And who knows, maybe this year will be your year, but let's not mess it up by leaving off your kids, okay? All right, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.